Are you looking for inspiration on a daily basis? Then check out Deal to Heal Teas. With our inspirational teas, you're sure to find something to inspire you. That's dealtohealteas.com. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear inspirational tea and be inspired all day. Let's go to dealtohealteas.com. Again, that's dealtohealteas.com. Hey guys, if you're enjoying this podcast, then I know you enjoy the Girl Dad Discussion podcast. I'm your host, Ernest James, and I believe the relationship between a daughter and her father is one of the most important relationships a young lady can have. And therefore, my mission is to promote the daddy-daughter relationship by sharing the voices of girl dads to the world. So check out our podcast on every platform where podcasts can be listened to. And if you want to watch the podcast, check us out on our YouTube channel. Again, that's the Girl Dad Discussions podcast with your host, Ernest James. Welcome to Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. On this podcast, my guest and I will discuss topics and ways to help us to heal in every area of our lives. I believe that everyone can live a life that is happy, healthy, and whole. So I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get to it. Welcome to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. I'm your host, Ernest James, and I believe that everyone can and should live a life that is whole, healed, and healthy. And therefore, I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. If you haven't already, make sure you listen, like, subscribe, and share our podcast on all of our podcast listening platforms and your social media platforms, as well as make sure you guys check us out on our YouTube channel, which is the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network on YouTube, where not only will you be able to find the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, which you are currently listening to, but you'll also be able to find the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, which is a podcast that I talk to other girl dads like myself, as well as sometimes we have daughters on to talk about the daddy-daughter relationship in order to combat the narrative of the absent father and the fatherless daughter. So again, you can find the Girl Dad Discussions podcast as well as the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Also, our product of the week, as you guys know, we are a self-sustained podcast, and the way that we stay on the air is by bringing you amazing products for you to purchase in order to help us out. So product of the week this week is our Purpose Journal, as well as our Purpose Planner, because I believe that we are to journal in order to remember where we've been and where we are, as well as plan for the future that we want. So you guys can go to Amazon. The links is in the description. So whether you're watching this on YouTube or whether you're listening to it on your podcast listening platform, just go to the descriptions and you will find the links to be able to purchase your Purpose Journal or your Purpose Planner, as well as a lot of other information that's in the descriptions. So make sure you guys go and check that out. I think you guys will be highly pleased with the different opportunities that we have and different information that we have there. So today, just like any other day, we are blessed with the guest. Cheryl, how are you doing?
I'm great, and I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Let me say thank you for being here, because you could have been doing anything else with anyone else, but you're here with me and my audience, and we definitely appreciate it. So, Cheryl, we're going to jump right in this thing. Do me a favor, introduce yourself to my audience, tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
Okay, my name is Cheryl Meyer. I'm known as the Health Muse. And 13 years ago, I was a solopreneur with my own jewelry design business. And I was doing everything to make my business successful except take care of me. And when my body started complaining, and the body complains with symptoms, that's its language, I ignored it. So my joke is first I got the poke in the shoulder, then I got the NCIS slap, and finally the 2x4 came down. I woke up one morning and I could not move. Everything in my body hurt. So I thought, was this a flu? What was going on? I waited a week. I went through 4 rounds of tests with my doctor, who called me and said, guess what? There's nothing wrong with you. I said, I can't function. Something is wrong. And I'm going to research and I'm going to find it. So I tripped into what's known as the functional medical community. I had no idea what I was looking for, but they caught my attention because they were doctors who had all gotten sick themselves and couldn't help themselves, or they had someone who they really dearly loved that they couldn't help. So they went back for additional training in functional medicine. And the difference is they are conventionally trained. They do have drugs in their toolkit, but they have a more holistic view towards the body, and they look at the whole body. So if something goes wrong in your body, they don't just say you've got a problem with your liver. They know that liver is the #1 problem with your heart. They look at everything, and all the pieces work together. So they look for the root cause, and then they start with holistic solutions. And if that doesn't work, that's when you might take a drug for a while to mitigate the symptoms until your lifestyle habits can change enough for your body to catch up to you. Sorry, I have a cat who's rolled over on my TV. Till your body can catch up to you and you can start to heal from the inside out. And what I discovered is we have a heck of a lot more ability to heal by taking care of our body. All those things I didn't do while I was building my kingdom are the things that would have given me more brain power, would have even made me more successful. I literally had a successful business, but bankrupted my body. So I was lucky. I had a very well-trained staff. I turned my business over to them and dug in. And it took me 5 years. I eliminated hundreds of toxins. There are poisons everywhere in our life. I was appalled and changed how I ate dramatically. I'm a big proponent of eating all the colors of the rainbow organically and to get them from a farm as close to you as possible, because the minute they're harvested, they start to lose some of their goodies. And as an example, spinach will lose 30% of its goodies within 3 days. So if you go to a farmer's market or you have a farm in the area, that's where you should be getting your food if at all possible. Now, that doesn't mean that if the only place you can get your food is from a Costco or from a Trader Joe where it's been warehoused for a while, you still buy it. You still try to get it organic, because you do not want poison with every bite of food, because that's going to take away all the advantages of the food itself. But by eating real food, not only do you get all the essential nutrients, which are the minerals and the vitamins that you need, but when I got sick, they had just discovered something called phytonutrients. And they're in the plant for the plant, and yet they have like miracle gifts for our bodies. When I started researching 13 years ago, they thought there were 10,000 of them. They now know that there's over 100,000 of them. And they can do things like shooting darts at cancer cells, or going to your mitochondria, which are the little battery packs in the middle of your cells, which is what gives you energy so that you can thrive and have all your brain power and feel fantastic. So my motto is, #1, you can't be great if you don't feel great. So take care of yourself. And #2, once you start to feel great, you are not willing to give it up. So I have all kinds of tips on how I maintain it. And it's non-negotiable to me, because my body will complain the minute I drop off that horse and I start to notice that I have a conversation with myself every morning when I look in the mirror. First, I tell myself how much I love me, because as you'll recall, that's what I think
Mm.
is significant for life joy and success. And then I ask my body, how do you feel? And I get quiet and I listen to it. I wish I had done that before I got sick. But if I've done something haywire, my body has a lot to say. Your body's very smart. Pay attention to it. But it speaks in symptoms. And if you don't get quiet to listen, you're going to miss it. So there are lots of things you can do to take almost any illness and reverse it. But you can do it in partnership with a medical doctor. But my deal with my medical doctor is I'm the person in charge. And
Mhm.
yep, I'll take that pill if you want me to take that pill, as long as you promise me when my test results reverse and I start showing that I'm making huge improvement, you get me off that pill. Because
Right.
my long time goal is to not be taking any medications at all. And in the 13 years, I have reversed type 2 diabetes. I've lost 80 pounds without dieting just by eating
Mm.
real food. And I had a very fatty liver, which we discovered accidentally. Most people don't know they have one. I had a fibroid. And when we scanned for it, the woman went, "Oh my God, you've got a fatty liver." It could have killed me. But it took me another 5 years to reverse that. And they're all healed, which is why I feel so good today. And it does feel good to feel good.
Wow, you said a mouthful already, and I can even take notes fast enough. But I want to go back to one of the things that you said, even starting at the very beginning about building your business, but not necessarily taking care of yourself. So, as an entrepreneur myself, and definitely knowing other entrepreneurs, that is one of the things that we do. And I've heard it said that we spend all of our health, trying to make money, and then we end up having to spend the money to try to buy our health back. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
so,
you have to practice self care. And self care is not just going for a massage. Self care is eating the organic rainbow. Self care is making time to move your body. Self care is getting 7+ hours of sleep at night, because you're worth it to do all these things. And if you're not doing them, it will catch up to you and it will detract from what you're contributing to your business and your staff.
yeah.
And one of the things I shared before we went on is that one of the things that happen when you eat this way and you have healthy lifestyle habits is it turns on all your happy hormones. So, standard American diet is ultra processed food. There's nothing real in it.
Yeah.
It's all chemicals. They have made it look like, sound like, smell like, taste like the real thing, but there's nothing real in it. And you are rebuilding cells every day of your life. So if you only got inferior building supplies, what do you think you're building? So
Mm.
self care is doing all the healthy habits so that you can be the best that you can be. And who do you think your customers want to work with? Somebody who's right, or somebody who's happy, ready to take on the world, and who is a problem solver when you sit in front of your customer because you've been taking good care of yourself. You got to start there. It's the unknown thing for success that most
Mm.
business owners miss. And certainly I did. I was manufacturing in Asia and all my customers were on the East Coast. I lived in LA. So I was traveling like a maniac. No wonder my body fell apart. And so you have to, I recommend you have the conversation every morning in the mirror. I recommend you listen to your body. And if it starts yelling at you, for God's sakes, pay attention, because there's a reason it's yelling at you and you don't want to get it so that you go over into toxic load or into an unhealthy body, because it's a lot harder to recover from that point than if you were taking care of it all the way along the line.
Yeah, yeah. And so I want to go back to a couple of things you said, and I'm gonna be a little selfish in this interview, right?
You're
because
allowed.
because I want to definitely get some tips for the audience, but I'll just use myself as an example since we are. But I know we talked about, should I say, I mentioned to you probably before we started recording, but I mentioned to you about even myself being on this health journey of wanting to eat better and also bring my sugar levels and things of that nature together. So let's first of all let's talk about, you mentioned about eating the rainbow. What exactly is that? And can you give us some examples
Now,
of those things?
the rainbow colors of food all have different gifts. And within each color family, different foods have different gifts. And what the difference is of those gifts, they're not your essential nutrients of minerals and vitamins. They're the phytonutrients. So red foods give your body totally different phytonutrients than purple foods do. Most Americans don't eat all the colors, but there's something magical that happens when all the phytonutrients of all the colors get together in your body. They party and they create health all over your body. They turn on your brain. They turn on your cognitive thinking. They turn on your creativity. They fuel your mitochondria, which are those little battery packs in your cells, so that you have the energy to sustain, to keep going so that you can be as great as you want to be. And it all comes from these phytonutrients that are in the plant for the plant. But if you're eating the full spectrum of colors, and then you're eating, like, let's say we're talking cauliflower. Cauliflower comes in white, purple, orange, and green. You want to eat all four colors, not all at the same time, but the first time you buy the white, and the second time you buy the purple, and then you buy the orange. And I used to live in California. We grew all the food for the nation. Well, now I'm in Arizona. It's not as easy to find, but my grocery stores here in the middle of the desert have all the colors. So you ought to be able to find them somewhere. And you want all of them because they each offer your body different gifts. And I also just discovered your health begins in your gut. I didn't discover that. That's a known fact. You have to have a healthy gut or you cannot have a healthy body. But the reason that you need all the colors and all the diversity is because different gut bacteria want to eat different things. Who knew? So if you're not giving your body diversity and all the colors so that you're getting all the phytonutrients, you're also not feeding your gut bacteria what they want to eat so that they're healthy. And what happens with chronic illness is if your gut isn't digesting your food properly, it's in too big of a chunk. And so you don't digest it down far enough. And there's something called leaky gut. So it starts pounding up against the wall of your gut, which is one cell thick. It's thinner than tissue paper. That sort of blew me away. So suddenly it rips a hole and it goes through into your blood system, and your body does exactly what it's supposed to do. It screams, foreigner, attack. And then your body does something really interesting. It identifies that food particle that shouldn't be in your blood in that largest piece of, and it attacks wherever you're weak in your body. For me, it was my joints and my muscles. What I got was fibromyalgia, which is not fun. It's an autoimmune disease, and they'll tell you you can't cure autoimmune diseases, but they're wrong. If you really start to take care of your body and you follow all the healthy habits, you'd be surprised what you can cure. I no longer have pain. That's enormous. So you want to eat the diversity. You want to eat all the different things that will feed your gut bacteria what they want. And then what happens is your gut bacteria break it down, and they break it down into fiber. There's no fiber in the standard American diet at all. Another reason not to eat it. There's also, you're not getting sugar as corn syrup and cane sugar and all that stuff, which is pure poison and lights up your brain like cocaine. And it's addictive. So you're not getting any of that stuff because you're not eating that stuff. And ultra-processed food is loaded with it. So your gut bacteria break down the fiber. The fiber takes the phytonutrients and travels over to your vagal nerve, which is the super highway in your body. It goes everywhere in your body. And your vagal nerve picks up that fiber with all the phytonutrients and starts to deliver it to all your organs, all your cells, and up to your brain. When it gets up to your brain, the ultra-processed food had dampened down all your happy hormones. And what your vagal nerve does is it delivers all of them to your dopamine and your GABA and your oxytocin and your serotonin. Those are your happy hormones. So it delivers it to the little things that are in your brain that turn those back on. And it doesn't take very long. And all of a sudden you go, wow, I'm really happy this morning. And once you start being really happy, wow, you don't want to give that up either. Who
Right.
wants to go around being depressed? And we have a depression problem in this country. And I never hear anybody talking about the fact it starts with what you're feeding your gut and your body. Because if you're not giving it the right building supplies, it doesn't have anything to change and function on. So you
Right.
need it like you need life. And as I said, these little phytonutrients can even shoot darts at cancer. Different phytonutrients go after different cancers, which is another reason to get all the diversity. So you want to start eating things you've never eaten before. If you've never eaten like a Jerusalem artichoke, you want to eat a Jerusalem artichoke because it's loaded with fiber. They're prebiotics, so they really feed your gut bacteria, and they're loaded with all kinds of goodies that will help you shoot those darts out or heal your cells from the inside out. So you need to eat as close to the farm as possible. Has all kinds of other advantages. It supports your community. My husband and I will go to different farmers markets on different weekends because they have different goodies. And so I can find free-run pastured turkey at one, and I can find grass-fed, grass-finished beef at another, and I can find all kinds of great vegetables at another. And so it's kind of a fun thing. We go, we talk to the farmers, we're getting to know them, and they'll tell us how they cook things. I learned how to make green salsa from a little tiny farmer in a booth one town south of me because he was thrilled to share it with me. You need to learn all of this and so utilize them. And one of the things I ask them is, what are they using to keep bugs off their crops? Because they'll share that with you. And a lot of times it's flowers that they plant around their crops. You do not want the obscene chemicals being sprayed on conventional crops because they are pure poison. And literally, your body can't handle them forever. And there's something called toxic load when your body falls over into it. Then you got a long road to climb back out of that hole. And I know because I climbed out of that hole. I wish I had caught it sooner.
Yeah. So I have one question. So when we're talking about eating the rainbow, does that just pertains to vegetables or is that plants in general?
It's vegetables and fruits. One of the big advantages of doing it is they're loaded with fiber. So you're naturally eating an alkaline diet loaded with fiber. You've eliminated all the chemicals from the standard American diet that's loaded with what I call crap. Carbonated, refined, artificial, and processed food. And my rule is I actually teach a ditch the standard American diet so you can break all the addiction. Sugar is addictive, but so are all the chemicals in those boxes. So if you're reading a box, and I want you to read every single label that you come across, if it has a word you can't pronounce or don't know what it is, you put it back on the shelf. Because 9 times out of 10, it's not good for you. Even simple innocuous things like natural flavors. Natural flavors are not always, but most often MSG. And MSG is a neurotoxin. So how well do you think you're going to be doing if you're eating it with every bite of food? Let alone all the chemicals that have been sprayed on that food. Now, one of the chemicals that is sprayed heavily on our food is sprayed on wheat. Number one, our wheat is not the wheat that we had when I was a kid, which was that tall flowing stuff that you think of when you think of wheat. It's this little short pygmy stuff that grows much faster and gets drenched in Roundup before it gets harvested. And if you're not aware, Roundup won a lawsuit 2 years ago because somebody got lymphoma from it, spraying it on schoolyards. And so he won a multi-million-dollar judgment. Bayer was in the process of buying Monsanto just as they lost the lawsuit. And they have paid out $20 billion to people who got lymphoma from their chemical. But it's still being sprayed on our conventional crops. If that isn't enough to scare you. So anything that you buy with conventional wheat, whether it's bread or it's flour or it's crackers or it's cookies, it's loaded with Roundup. You don't want that in your body. They don't even know how many other cancers are caused by that chemical, but it's one of 7 chemicals that are being used on our crops. And I don't want any of them in my body because they make me feel lousy and it's not worth it. I thought I was gluten sensitive when I first started healing. Ends up, I wasn't gluten sensitive. I was Roundup sensitive. And I discovered it because I got married and we went to Europe on our honeymoon. And suddenly I was eating pasta in Italy and not having a problem because they're still growing that tall, wavy wheat stuff that's the real wheat from old days. And they're not drenching it in Roundup, which they do, by the way, because then the wheat gives them a bigger yield. So they literally drench it in Roundup because they get a bigger yield, so they make more profits. But not good for you. So when you're eating European wheat products, you're not getting all that crap, which is carbonated artificial processed stuff. And then you can start to feel good again and regain your health. A lot of people ask me, how can I detox my liver? If you haven't eliminated all the toxins, don't even bother. Start by eliminating all the toxins because every single toxin that goes in your body goes through your liver, and your liver does a really good job until it can't, which is why I got a fatty liver. Mine did a really good job until it couldn't anymore, and it took me a long time to bring it back up to snuff. But wow, does that make a difference? And it's going to protect my heart because the number one cause of heart disease is liver disease. So it all fits together, but stay away from the chemicals as much as possible. There's 2 kinds of chemicals that you're getting in your everyday food. One is the stuff that's being sprayed on your crops, which if you're buying organic, you're not getting. And the other are called GMOs. And you should treat GMOs like they're your kryptonite. You don't want them. And what they do, they come in one of 2 things. They're either Roundup, and the plant has been made to be able to handle large amounts of Roundup. Doesn't mean your body's going to handle it, but the plant can handle it. Okay? That's what they're doing to wheat. The other one is something that is called Bt toxin. And they swore that it wasn't going to hurt us at all. When a bug bites the plant that has Bt toxin grown in the plant, so you can't wash it off, it blows them up. And that's all grand and dunky, except when it gets in your body, it blows up all your good gut bacteria too. And have you noticed how many more allergies we have with our kids these days? It's because Bt toxin is causing all those allergies. And our infants are being born with 298 toxins in their umbilical cord right from the minute they pop out of the mom. And those chemicals are coming from the mom and the dad. So if you want to have children, start cleaning your diet up at least a year before conception so that you don't pass all those chemicals on to your baby.
I love it. I love it. You're sharing so much information, and I know you have more because you're an author also, right?
Yes.
So tell us about your books.
I have 2 books. Together, they have won 24 awards. They're both on Amazon. What they are is a layman writing what her journey was like to return to health. And I couldn't find anything like that as a blueprint to follow myself. And so I started keeping everything in file folders on my computer. And when I returned to wellness, I was having conversations with people everywhere, the grocery store, the dental office, everywhere, because I wanted everybody to know what I had discovered about how much power I had. So I finally decided at 67, I'm 76 today, I would go back to coaching school so that I could get certified to talk about health with some authority, even though I had all this research. When I graduated from the coaching school I went to, which was I.M., Institute for Integrative Nutrition, they asked me if I wanted to write a book. And I wrote a 500-page book, the first book, from November to January 15th. I think I channeled it, but I had everything saved in folders, and the book literally wrote itself. And so I sent it out to everybody and their uncle that was writing a contest, and that book won 17 awards because no one had ever written all of that medical information from the point of view of a layman. And so I explain what a leaky gut is. I explain what sensitivities are versus allergies. Everything that you need to know about how to have a healthy gut or where all the chemicals are. First thing I looked up, and there's a giant database in the sky called EWG.org, the Environmental Working Group. First thing I looked up was my very expensive French makeup. It was a 9 on a 10-point scale. Literally, I was poisoning myself right through my skin. And you can look up sometimes. Now, when I started, I had to look up all the ingredients. Since then, they now have whole products on there so that you can look up brands and not spend your whole life looking up everything. I looked up everything. And then I started looking up things that I could throw that out and replace it with that would no longer poison my body. My first book also lists all the products that I chose to use. Now, some of them have been discontinued since then, but if you do come across something that's been discontinued, if you want to write to me on email and ask me what I'm using now, I use only healthy, clean products, and that also makes a difference. They are in your personal care products, your cosmetics, all your scents. Those ads where they're smelling and going into ecstasy over laundry detergent, they're poisoning themselves. You don't want scents because they are poison. There's one perfume line that just came out that's not poison. And Michelle Pfeiffer made it because she was sick of getting poisoned to wear perfume. And it's really delightful. But even that when you spray in the air that takes the scent out, it's poisoning you. You don't want to use it. So you need to become aware of what is poisoning you and what is not. I found a cleaning product that's plant enzymes. And that became important to me because I had 3 cats when I got sick, and I lost all 3 of them way before I should have. And it occurred to me not only was I living in a toxic soup, but my beloved pets were also living in a toxic soup. So my second book is How Do I Live This Way? There's an entire section on how to raise healthy children, and there's an entire section on how to have healthy pets. But one reason I love the plant enzyme cleaner, which is called Branch Basics, is because they can walk on my counters, they can walk on my floors, they can drink out of the toilet, and they're not going to die because there's no poison in any of it.
Mm.
So you find your products and you put your stake down that's you're not going to deviate from that. And as I said, it's non-negotiable for me. So I was using a Teflon pan. I did not want to give my Teflon pan up. I love that thing. Nothing stuck on it. And then I read that where the factory was, DuPont, people were dying of cancer and there were no birds in the sky, because the Teflon factory was putting poison out into the community and into the groundwater. So I gave up that pan real quickly. You don't want to use aluminum. That'll give you Alzheimer's. Keeping my brain has been kind of important to me too now that I'm getting older. So you learn which things you can use and what you cannot. My husband bought me a very expensive group of stainless steel pots and pans. They won't poison me, but they're heavy. So I finally found something from our place, which are these pans that have a ceramic coating on them. I love them. I have given them to my entire family because nothing sticks on them and they are total delight to cook on, and they're not heavy. So you find the products that work for you. I use as little plastic as I can. Plastic puts forever chemicals in your body. You never want to buy another water bottle made out of plastic again. You buy stainless steel bottles, or this is stainless in the side, in the core, and you carry your water in a bottle so that you're not getting those forever chemicals. And you get them from plastic bottles in 2 ways. Not only are they leaching into your water, but they're putting little micro balls of plastic in there, all of which is poisoning your body, and they don't come out. So you don't want them. You look up your water with your water company and find out how many toxins are in your water. And if you have toxins in your water, you can start for very little money with a Brita and do the water that you're going to cook with and drink with in your kitchen. Or I started with a filter system under my kitchen sink, and that was the water that I used to fill up my bottles and to cook with. We since have put a whole system on the whole house. Where I am in Arizona, there is arsenic in the water. So we got rid of it by putting an entire water system on. Wherever you are, you need to know what's in your water so that you protect yourself from those poisons, because literally they are poisons and you don't need them. So you dig in everywhere it can be. The most poisonous thing in your house are the little pods that you wash your detergent that you wash your clothes with or wash your dishes with. They are so poisonous. If a toddler bites into it, you may not get them to emergency. Do you really want to be washing your clothes in that? I don't think so. And remember, your skin is the largest organ on your body. So if you're washing your clothes in poison, it's going right through your skin and into your body. So you need to know what you're using, and you need to make very careful decisions as to what it is.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. You shared so much information. We're definitely going to have the links to your books in the description so everyone knows how to find it. Because I'm sure we can only share so much in this time, but I know there's just so much more information that's in these
And
books.
one other suggestion, if you go to my website, which is CherylMHealthMuse.com, it's under my name there. It will lead you to where the issue books are that I have out there for free. I have a full magazine on holistic health. My books are advertised in there. So if you lose the link that you're going to give them to my books, you can find them there. It talks about some of the classes that I run. It talks about the A to Z to health. My functional doctor wrote an article. My naturopath wrote an article. I wrote, How Do I Vet a Restaurant? Before I ever walk in the door of a restaurant, I have talked to the chef so that when I walk in the restaurant, he comes out to meet me, because they don't want to feed you things that aren't going to make you happy. They want long-term customers. So they come out and say, whoo, okay, Cheryl, I know exactly what I'm going to feed you tonight. Even when I went to France, I translated all of it to French so that I had it on a card. And the people we were traveling with, you're never going to go around your idiosyncrasy. First restaurant, Madame, I make you something fabulous, because I translated it to French, so they were impressed. I ate better than anybody the entire time we were gone. So don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to know what you want and stick to your guns, because feeling good is worth it, and you're not going to give that up.
All right, all right. So Cheryl, man, I appreciate you so much for being on. I want you, excuse me, I want you to have the last word, right? And I know you've given us so much information, but I want you to have the last word to leave us with maybe some more information, or it's inspiration or motivation to help us to get going on this journey. However you feel, I want you to leave us with something, and also leave us with your social medias. I know we got your website right there, but I want you to leave us with that information. I'll give you a couple of seconds to think about that. To my listeners, thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Make sure you guys are following us on our website, the dealhealfulfill.org website. Again, that's dealhealfulfill.org. Because our mission, of course, is to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. So you can find more about everything that I have got going on, including the podcast. And also, you can go there to book me to be a speaker at one of your events, whether at your school or your organization. You guys, again, go to dealhealfulfill.org in order to check us out there. Also, you can go to ebooks by ejames.com to check out the ebooks that I have written. I have written several ebooks, including the Core 4, which is the 4 core values that every daughter should get from her father. That book is one of my most favorite books that I've written, and we talk about it on the Girl Dad Discussions podcast when I talk to other girl dads and daughters, and we talk about those core values that we as girl dads find important to pour into our daughters. But there's also other books, including From Males to Men, which is a male mentoring book for young boys, and also Forgiving Me, the 4-step guide to self forgiveness is also that ebook is also there. So several ebooks there. Make sure you guys check that out at ebooks by ejames.com. tees.com, and our inspirational t-shirt line. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear an inspirational tee and be inspired all day. You guys can check out our inspirational t-shirt line, which includes our podcast merch, which is our t-shirts with our podcast logos on it. There's one for the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, as well as one for the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. And you can find that at dealtohealtees.com. That's deal, the number 2, healtees.com, to get your inspirational t-shirt. Last but not least, over the last couple of years, I've been blessed to be a part of an organization called the Forgiveness Mission. And what we do, we have free virtual workshops every other month talking about forgiveness, what it is, what it means to forgive, forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others, even forgiveness of the world. So we have this discussion talking all about forgiveness, which I think is a very important conversation that we need to have, because we need to have love and forgiveness more in our world today. So again, forgivenessmission.com. You can go there to sign up for and register for our next free virtual workshop. So whenever you're listening to this, either one just ended or there's one coming up. So you can go to forgivenessmission.com to sign up for our free forgiveness workshop, or you can go to Eventbrite and look up Forgiveness Workshop sponsored by the Forgiveness Mission and register there. We would love to have you go to one of our events, because it is absolutely free, but the information is priceless. So you guys want to make sure that you take full advantage of that. Last but not least, Cheryl, again, thank you so very much for being on. Thank you for sharing your expertise and your information. I want you to have the last word, so the floor is yours.
So I want you to own your own health. Make a deal with your doctor that you're in charge of your body and that you are thrilled to have them as your partner, but you're in charge. And I have 20 pillars of health in my magazine. You're not going to be able to do them all at the same time. So start with food. It will have the biggest impact on your health. It will impact good food equals good mood. It will impact everything about your health and how your body functions. So start with food, and always start with self-love, because that's your key to success for long-term happiness and getting all your hopes and dreams.
All right. And we can find that at CherylMHealthMuse.com.
Yes, that'll lead you right to the magazine, and it's online as a flip book, so you can go through and read the articles as you're ready.
All right. We can't end it no better than that. To my listeners, thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, where our mission is to help you to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Until next time, you guys be blessed. Thanks for listening to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Remember to listen, like, subscribe, and share. This episode has been brought to you by Deal to Heal Tees. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear an inspirational tee and be inspired all day. Let's go to dealtohealtees.myshopify.com. Remember, our mission is to help you to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for listening.